Welcome to Israel. Welcome to Palestine. Welcome to a part of the world that creates more sensation and is more diverse than hardly any other. Religions, cultures, wars, peace, happiness and suffering, all that close together that it seems impossible. For 2 weeks we're going to backpack through the Holy Land. Our camera and our excitement is always with us. We meet Israelis, Palestinians, young and old people. We see, taste, listen and feel what distinguishes this region, what it has to cope with and what future will bring for it. One thing is for sure, this place is and will always be fascinating.
Wir wollen wissen, wie lebt es sich in Israel und wie reist es sich dort. Und vor allem wollen wir junge Leute in unserem Alter kennenlernen und herausfinden, wie ticken die und was denken die über die Politik ihres Landes.
Before we start our journey, we figure out where exactly we want to go. From Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, onwards to Bethlehem in the Westbank. After that, we'd like to visit the world-famous Dead Sea. And at the end of our journey, we are going to see the north of Israel in Haifa. And this is where our trip starts, at Ben Gurion Airport, probably the best secured airport in the world. For more than 8 million Israelis, this is the gate to the world. From here, we drive to the megacity Tel Aviv. Like no other, this city is the symbol for the modern Israel, the startup, hipster and digital native Israel. With all the cool spots, it nearly looks like a Western European metropolis. That's where we live, together with young people from all over the world. After breakfast, we start to check out the city.
Wir sind auf dem Kamelmarkt. Der ist in Israel bekannt als Shuk HaKarmel und das ist der größte Markt hier in Tel Aviv. Das ganze Ding ist zweigegliedert in einen Textil-, Schmuck- und materiellen Teil und in einen Lebensmittelteil, wo man getrocknete Früchte, Hummus, Falafel bekommt. Ich treffe mich jetzt mit Mor, der ist hier Händler und der wird uns einiges erzählen, was hier so am Markt abgeht.
It's international. You got everything here. You got everything here. And everybody speaks every language, so you'll feel very comfortable. Yeah, I enjoy talking to people. They're fun, you know, because I traveled around the world quite a lot. So every time I find someone that in the place I was, I got somebody to talk with. When I finish my day work, I don't want to talk to nobody.
Okay.
Because my muscles are sore. So we talk. The weather, how is the weather? How is the weather by you? How is the weather here? Now you know the weather in Israel in the summer.
Okay.
You know, it's nice and hot. But it's general talk. We don't get involved in politics. We got enough here.
A phenomenon we will encounter several times on our journey. No politics, please. We want no trouble. Another thing Tel Aviv is famous for is its nightlife. Some people say it's similar to New York's, Paris and Sydney's, and we of course want to find out if this is true. The party starts already in the hostel with an acoustic techno show. After the concert we meet Guy. He's a 25-year-old student and wants to introduce us to the Israeli nightlife.
Oh, the nightlife is incredible. This city nickname is called, what your friend said, the city without sleep. Yeah. All the time there is a place to come and to drink and to meet people. But there is still modern aspect that we need to improve, like gay marriage and like, you know, something like that, more liberal, but we're mostly liberal and modern. But we have so much to improve ourselves, so it's not completely.
Like every Israeli, he served for 3 years in the military, which is mandatory for everyone.
Actually, I wasn't intelligent in it, so I can't tell you anything.
Okay.
So it's, but you meet a variety of kind of people.
Okay.
So it's kind of, you know, connect between the people all over the state. You must like the time that you do it, because if you're not, you're very sad. So there is a lot of people that disappointed from their position in the army, because they feel they are not doing something significant like other people. But the reality is so tough, so we must do it. But I don't know, I wish it wasn't like this.
The history of the state Israel is probably nowhere more present than here, the Foundation Hall. After centuries of persecution, dispersal and suffering that had its sad climax in the inhuman German Nazi regime, the Jewish people came back to their original home. At this place in Tel Aviv, Israel's first Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion declared the state Israel for independent. At this historical place, we meet up with historian Isaac.
Why did they choose this building? What's so special?
The reason they chose this building was because this building was the most protected auditorium, and so they called to do a kind of a modest and secret ceremony. And indeed, they sent the invitations to the ceremony on the night before, only to 350 people. In 1947, the UN called to partition this country between the Jews and the Arabs, and call each side to keep the peace and declare independence, and the British to evacuate. And so while all this was going, while they declare independence, respecting international law, calling for peace, other people thought that this is the time to invade Israel and to launch a war. And indeed, few hours later, the city was blitzed from the air.
And that war became the Israeli Independence War. The young country managed to win with international help and conquered new territories that are partly still not internationally accepted today. But why was the founding of Israel such a provocation for the Arabian neighbor states? And why did Israel still risk it? To understand that, we have to travel to the holy city, to Jerusalem. Since Israel is quite small, the ride takes less than 2 hours. And here we are, Jerusalem, the holy magical city that religious people and those who search for a sense in their life admire so much. In Jerusalem, the three big world religions, Islam, Christianity and Judaism, are deeply rooted, exactly like the everlasting fight for the hegemony over the city. Today, Jerusalem with its 800,000 citizens is in Israeli hands, but Palestinians also see it as their capital. For Christians, Jerusalem is that important because it is the place where Jesus Christ was sentenced and killed. Central place of pilgrimage is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. In its center, visitors find the supposed grave of Jesus. For Jews, the Western Wall is the most important place. People pray here and read in the Torah. Some put small handwritten letters with wishes into the gaps between the wall stones. Behind this wall, there was the second Jerusalem temple till the Romans destroyed it. Before that, it was the most important sanctuary for Jews. For Muslims, this is the most important site in the city, the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. From here people say Prophet Muhammad started his journey towards heaven. All these holy places are just a few hundred meters away from each other, which creates conflicts in centuries. The foundation of Israel back then was a provocation for the Arabian neighbors, since the return of the Jewish people did not happen in an uninhabited area, but was connected with the displacement of Palestinians. Today, after 2 intifadas, there is a deficient calmness between both, mostly produced by the military predominance of Israel. Nearly everywhere you can spot military soldiers with machine guns. Also in culinary questions, Jerusalem has much to offer. This is the Mahane Yehuda market, the biggest one in Jerusalem. Every day, more than 100,000 people cross the small streets. In a hidden corner here, restaurant Piwan is said to offer the best hummus in Israel.
It's like food you eat at home or like a few times a week. Not something too special. Okay, you need to put chickpeas in water for a whole night, maybe 8 to 10 hours. And then you need to cook it for something like 5 hours and then put it in the food processor with tahini and...
What's tahini?
Tahini, trina. It's made out of sesame. And lemon juice and parsley, salt. And to make it good, you just need to have the right amounts of things.
Here we also meet Alice from Germany. She lives in Jerusalem for some months and is doing an internship here. She just loves the city.
Sie ist viel konservativer, als ich gedacht hätte. Also solche Sachen wie Schabbat oder so merkt man schon viel deutlicher. Und auch die Trennung zwischen Ostjerusalem und Westjerusalem ist krasser, als ich dachte. Aber sie ist auch viel bunter und viel moderner, als ich gedacht hätte. Also gleichzeitig konservativer, aber auch moderner. Also es ist ganz schwierig, das zu beschreiben. Ich glaube, dass die jungen Israelis insgesamt sehr viel politischer sind. Sie tendieren auch dazu, sehr viel nationalistischer und militaristischer zu sein und sogar religiöser. Ich glaube, das unterscheidet sie wirklich von den Deutschen. Das macht es für uns auch schwierig, die Art, wie diese Gesellschaft tickt, zu verstehen.
A very important part of the Israeli identity is to reflect and remember the cruelties of the Holocaust. In Jerusalem, most prominently represented by the memorial Yad Vashem. We visit the exhibition with Alice. Here, the whole story of the persecution and murder of Jews by the Nazi regime is shown very detailed and reflected in many ways. This is a special place with a unique atmosphere.
Also es wurden in dem Museum Videos gezeigt, wie die Soldaten der USA die Leichenberge, die übrig geblieben sind, in Massengräber werfen. Und wenn man das so sieht, dann kann man es nochmal auf einer ganz anderen Ebene nachvollziehen.
Ich finde es bemerkenswert, wie dieses Museum die globale Perspektive abbildet, also immer wieder Flüchtlingsströme aufzeigt, wer ist wohin gegangen, wo sind wie viele umgekommen und dann ganz stark reinzoomt und auch einzelne Schicksale immer wieder, vor allem in Filmbeiträgen, heranbringt. Allerdings, was ich sehr gut getroffen finde, ist, dass ich das Gefühl habe, dass da überhaupt keine Schuld oder so, diese Schuldfrage, die für uns ja ganz wichtig ist, die scheint hier überhaupt keine Rolle zu spielen. Und das nehme ich auch jetzt mit, weil mich das ein bisschen befreit. Ich habe nicht das Gefühl, dass ich hier angeklagt werde und das finde ich gut.
Dass man als Deutscher sehr gut nach Israel reisen kann, ohne erwarten zu müssen, dass es dort Menschen gibt, die einem, allein weil man aus diesem Land kommt, etwas vorhält. Also das ist gar kein Thema eigentlich.
After our visit in Yad Vashem, we explore the cultural nightlife of Jerusalem. Besides many clubs, bars and restaurants, once a year visitors can experience the Festival of Lights. Artists from all over the world create light installations throughout the Old Town. It is a feeling of harmony, calmness and happiness that we experience while enjoying the light art. But the impression is wrong. Some days before we arrived in Jerusalem, a police officer was stabbed, and some days after we left, the Arab-Israeli conflict got tensions again because of an attack in Jerusalem. The attackers, or terrorists as they are called in Israel, are mostly Palestinians. Where does this hatred come from, and why is it that strong till today? To find that out, we have to drive to Bethlehem in the Westbank. After 2 military checkpoints, we arrive. The first impression we have is that infrastructure behind the wall is far worse than in Israel. The streets are scruffy, with small improvised shops instead of luxury boutiques, and a lot of waste is all around. Our couchsurfing host Fauzi picks us up at the bus station. He allows us to stay at his house for free, but there's a surprise. Fauzi's house is a shoe shop and our room is above it.
Ich kann es nicht so richtig einordnen, wo wir sind, was das für ein Kerl ist. Auch auffällig fand ich jetzt gerade, dass man keine Klospülung hat. Also es gibt ja eine Toilette, aber die ist, da ist kein Wasser im Spülkasten. Das heißt, man muss mit einem Kanister unter den Wasserhahn und das reinkippen, was natürlich auch eindrücklich ist angesichts der Wasserknappheit, die in Palästina herrscht. Habe ich irgendwas vergessen? Es gibt keine Dusche.
But in the evening, Fauzi's family unites. His father, his cousin Shadi and some friends. 2 couchsurfers from France also arrive and the whole house is full of life. Together, we go out to have a drink in one of the pubs. Yes, there are pubs in Bethlehem, even if it's forbidden for Muslims to drink alcohol, but there are 40% Christians in town, obviously, as Jesus was born here. Bartender Grace tells me how pub culture in Palestine looks like.
Actually, started a very small place, not this one. It's called also Roots actually in 2010.
Till 2010 there were no bars in here, so the people drank at home.
Yeah, or you would find like coffee shops before, because I was like starting something new. I felt at some point that I'm the core of evil, I'm the master of evil. People are like aiming for me and like, I've started something terrible. What you're doing to our sons and daughters?
So you were criticized for it?
Of course, yeah. Well, that's Taiba beer actually. It's the very first local beer. Locals would say it's kind of expensive. I would say it's fine because you're actually getting something fine actually.
What do you say again?
Sahtin.
Sahtin.
You can say sahab, you can say sahtin. You can say cheers all over the planet, right?
Okay, that's right. Es schmeckt eigentlich so wie ein normales Pils, vollmundig, ist ein helles Bier und der Geruch, wie er es gesagt hat, ist sehr außergewöhnlich, weil es sehr blumig riecht, fast schon wie ein IPA, also wirklich sehr lecker. That looks like a bit harder stuff. Can you tell us what this is?
It's called arak. Arak used to be like not a business actually, more like people used to just make it in their neighborhood. Or also, if you don't drink arak, people here believe the magic of arak, like the magic of olive oil, for example. They use it as medicine also.
Ja, also Arak riecht schon sehr nach Uso und auch wieder ein sehr voller Geschmack, wärmt von innen, also so wie es sein sollte. How many percent does it have?
40.
40? Oh, yeah, okay. One feels that.
So it's definitely possible to go out here, but not too long as we have to get up early. Before we fall asleep, we enjoy the panoramic view on the glittering, illuminated Bethlehem. The discomfort from the beginning is gone, now we feel very well. The next day we are going to have a guided tour with Fauzi's cousin Shadi. Before that, we have shisha, tea and Arab coffee together. They show us the Nativity Church. Allegedly, it was built on the birthplace of Jesus. Here in this cave, people say, he saw the light of day. Today the building is one of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites and it is on the list of threatened buildings. The church has to be fully reconstructed. After that, we explore the old town of Bethlehem. There is a vibrant life in the small streets. A lively experience in front of an impressive setting.
So, wir sind jetzt auf einer Dachterrasse, wo wir einen wunderschönen Blick auf Bethlehem haben oder Bethlehem, wie das die Palästinenser hier sagen. Die Stadt hat 26.000 Einwohner ungefähr und viele Besonderheiten. Eine davon ist, finde ich, dass man hier überall Christen und Muslime ganz friedlich zusammenleben sieht. Und eine weitere Besonderheit ist, dass wir gestern Abend hier auf die Stadt geschaut haben. Es hat überall wunderschön gefunkelt. Die Lichter waren an. Und ganz besonders ist uns auch dieser Teil hier drüben aufgefallen. Wir haben das auch unserem Host gesagt, sieht echt toll aus da drüben. Der Teil von Bethlehem sagte, nee, das ist gar nicht ein Teil von Bethlehem, das sind die israelischen Siedlungen. Also das, was wir dort sehen, ist alles auf palästinensischem Gebiet nach dem Krieg sozusagen gebaut worden, illegal.
Besides its Christian meaning, Bethlehem is also very famous today for the fact that it is placed directly at the Israeli border. The official term for it is Israeli Westbank barrier. After judgment by the International Court, the fence hurts international law. Again and again there are protests and demonstrations at this place that get knocked down by the Israeli military. For some people, there's no better symbol for the conflict than the wall, which is 759 kilometers long. Shadi shows us the wall, even though it is not easy for him to go there.
And this start of this thing, it's like strange now, like I'm using to see this thing.
Behind us there's a huge tower. Can you tell us what happens inside there? What's
There's a
about?
soldier inside this tower.
Okay.
They like for security, if they see anyone wants to jump, to do anything, they will shoot.
They will shoot from up
Yes,
there.
yeah.
Shadi feels helpless next to the wall, like many people here.
We can't do anything, just we bent to tell people what's happened, you bent here.
As a result, the complete wall is covered with sprayed artworks. A very famous one of them was created by Moody Abdallah. Make hummus, not walls is sprayed not only on the wall, but on many postcards, t-shirts and mugs in Moody's souvenir shop as well.
We try like the fighting, we try everything, but the graffiti, it makes sense because when you show it to the people from outside, so people they can see it and they can like understand you are a peaceful person and you want to do something for resisting and something against the occupation. So we're not asking for big things, we're asking just the wall to go down and to have our own freedoms and to have our own justice, that's it.
Also a very famous British artist came here, Banksy. His graffiti paintings can be found at many spots in Bethlehem and Palestine. Directly at the wall, he opened the walled-off hotel. It offers the worst hotel view in the world, as from every window only the wall is visible, and it is filled with his art pieces. There's also a small museum in the hotel that tells the occupation history from Palestinian perspective. Back at the shoe store, Shadi tells us a secret.
We and my cousin Fawzi, we decided to enter to Al-Aqsa Mosque to pray there. It's inside Israel, it's not allowed to enter there. So we decided to jump the wall. And
How high is it?
like 6 meters.
Okay.
Yes.
Didn't break anything.
No. They stop us like a checkpoint. They ask us a lot of questions. Then they figure out that we are from here. They arrest us and we ended in the prison. We've been there. We thought that will be dangerous for us to be in the prison. But when we enter, everybody says welcome, hello, marhaba, take, like a family.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, it's okay for me. When we decided again, we will jump again. It's our right to be inside. It's our land.
As time goes by, we gain an image of the situation, of which we are still unsure today if it's right or wrong. Someone living in Palestine has a lower standard of living than in Israel. Even basic needs, like the unlimited access to water, are restricted.
Wir waren auf Toilette bei unserem Gastgeber und es war kein Wasser im Spülkasten, bis sie uns erklärt haben, dass sie einmal im Monat nur Wasser bekommen. Das füllen die dann in ihren Tank und dann müssen die einen Monat lang mit ihrer Tankfüllung Wasser auskommen.
Your laundry, your cleaning, how many times you even take a shower. You just can't decide I'm taking showers twice a day because I just feel like having showers. No, you literally have to be careful about that.
From the Palestinian point of view, the Israelis took their land, expelled them, and still make their lives more difficult with settlement developments, water politics and military controls. From the Israeli point of view, they return to the Holy Land after centuries of violence and persecution, have a home with appropriate politics and comply with agreements. 2 points of view opposing each other and creating violence constantly. Here in the streets of Bethlehem, many people's view is much more differentiated. This is Philippos. He attends university and just wants one thing: peace.
أول شيء المفروض مبدئيا المفروض الواحد كل شخص هون يهدى الواحد يكون عنده قدرات يعني. الشغلة مش بالشطارة وبالسيف، الشغلة بالحل الأنسب لكل شخص كيف بحب يعيش.
Our time at Bethlehem has come to an end. Along with us leave the two French couchsurfers who are guests at Fauzi's house as well.
Yeah, and it's important also for us to feel this conflict, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, from the inside and through Palestinian voices. And I think actually they are pretty open and pretty ready to do peace, like a real peace.
We say goodbye to our hosts and drive back to Israel. Our next destination is located in a desert and is known for its amount of salt, the Dead Sea. By bus we drive from Jerusalem to Ein Gedi, 80 kilometers away. We pass by jagged rock landscapes changing into desert. Once again, the landscape changed completely in just an hour. This country has an impressive variety to offer. Our destination is a camp somewhere in the middle of nowhere. There are tents with air conditioning, which is absolutely necessary, and an incredible view on the deepest sea in the world. The Dead Sea is named after the high amount of salt, which is 30%, resulting in the famous floating effect, which we just have to try out.
Wir haben online gelesen, man soll nicht länger als 15 Minuten drin sein und sich dann ganz schnell mit Süßwasser abduschen. Das Problem ist natürlich, dass unser Süßwasser ganz da oben ist und wir da erstmal wieder hinlaufen müssen nachher.
It's a great feeling, drifting weightlessly in the water. But don't get the water in your eyes, because it burns like hell. As soon as you get out, you're in danger of dehydration. The sun burns, the salt crystallizes on your skin, and then there is that long way back to the camp. 15 minutes in the Dead Sea destroyed us for the rest of the day. An opportunity to enjoy the impressive landscape and nature. On the following day, we begin the last part of our journey to Haifa in the northern part of Israel. In order to get there, we have to go back to Jerusalem, but since there is Shabbat, the holy day for Jews, we have to wait until the evening because no buses drive. In contrast to the Sunday in Christian countries, this day here is taken very seriously. No trains, buses, trams, even catching a taxi is hard. In the middle of the night, we finally arrive at our destination and fall tired into the beds of our couchsurfing host. The next day we are rewarded by exploring Haifa, because the 300,000 resident strong coastal city is the third biggest in Israel, and compared to the very traditional Jerusalem and the hyper-modern Tel Aviv, it seems like a relatively normal city. One highlight are the hanging gardens of the Baha'i religion. With her wonderful blooming flowers, they built the world center of this young religion, whose followers believe in a transcendent God, uniting many monotheistic world religions in their belief. Even aside the gardens, Haifa offers us a great landscape and culture. Here, in a pedestrian zone, we heard, you can buy the best pizza in Israel.
Okay, so this is like a vegetarian place.
Okay.
From all sorts of reasons. We also have vegan options. It's good for the price. You know, you get like 5 toppings and it's a good deal. All the ingredients are being made here. Everything here, it says alternative and cool and different.
Okay.
See the fucking picture over there? It's like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, we have like a Tacharut Tziyurim. It's like a competition for like drawing. You know, so you see like drunk people like come and draw these horrible things, and they think it's wonderful. So I don't understand it. I guess I'm too old for that. Too old for this shit.
So
After we finished our pizza, we meet with our couchsurfing host Gel. He's a political scientist specialized in conflict and peace research. From him we want to know what is the Israeli identity and how does he think about the conflict in the Middle East.
And the thing is, do we really want a melting pot? Do we really want to take all the narratives and create something that is just one narrative that fits all? Whereas another outlook is to have sort of a salad bar where you kind of have different options. You're not dictated the meal. And I think here in Haifa, that a big part of that local culture and definitely culinary culture is Arabic.
Okay.
And there's no point to hide it. It's like they say about what happened here in 1948. They say some people were expelled, some people were thrown, were killed, some people ran away, some people left hoping to find their homes, blah, 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 blah. And it's all true.
Yeah, sure.
Some actually left and thought the Arabs would win, they would destroy, and we'll come back to our homes. We have to accept that there is more than one way to tell the story. You need to have a level playing field, okay? That means that you cannot say the Arabs are the enemy and Israelis are the heroes. And you cannot have it the other way. Because I was here in Haifa and rockets were falling here. One here, one there. And that's a lot of stress. And for me as a 16-year-old, I was looking at the sky, I didn't know what to do. The amount of post-traumatic stress in both societies is overwhelming. Overwhelming. We need to worry about the future of the Palestinian children who should grow up not wanting to kill Israelis. I hope that you understand that the situation is not black and white. This is not life. It's not about harming one another. It's about creating art. It's about living. It's about renaissance. And we can have a renaissance here in the Middle East if we want. Or we can continue to kill one another.
Gal's words prove the image we created on our journey about the country and the people. Israel has managed to come far since its foundation, is a leader in economy, science and innovation, and was able to reflect the Jewish history. However, it is still unable to live in peace because the conflict keeps on going and needs a real solution so that both sides can live in peace and prosperity. And that's it. Haifa was our last destination. Now we have to go back to Tel Aviv and fly home. After 2 weeks in Israel and Palestine, we go home with many new and colorful impressions on our minds. Impressions of two countries with remarkable people, of political and religious crisis and those having to pay for it, of varied cultures and a spot on the map we definitely will remember for a long time.